We are about to watch the parole hearing for a man who escaped justice by running to Mexico for 15 years. He turned himself in, and well, while he's serving time in Louisiana, he now has an opportunity for parole, and we're going to watch that parole hearing. But first, let's jump in and see some of this news footage.
This is Lonnie Joseph Payne, as he was just brought from Montgomery, Texas, to the East Feliciana Parish Jail. Is there anything you want to say?
Glad to be home.
Where were you for 15 years?
Mexico.
Why'd you leave out?
Didn't want to do the time.
He has to serve out 16 more years for all those burglary charges that he escaped for, plus any added time for this escape. Now, on a side note, had he actually stayed in jail, thanks to good time, he would have been released 3 years ago. And if he would have had to serve his full 17 years, he would have been released in February of 2019. Tonight, we are live in East Feliciana Parish. Kieran Shawla, WAFB 9 News. Elizabeth?
Thank you so much, Kieran.
This is the case of Lonnie Payne, DOC number 319851. Mr. Payne's date of birth is June 19th, 1974. He's classified as a fourth felony offender. He has a parole eligibility date of January the 20th of 2022, an adjusted good time date of January the 2nd, 2031, and a full term date of April the 20th of 2036. He is currently serving 19 years on the charge of 4 counts of simple burglary, 2 of which he was adjudicated as a habitual offender, and 1 count of escape. His sentencing dates on the habitual offender was January 27th of 2003. The escape sentence was on August the 26th of 2019, and the simple burglaries were on 2002. Is that all accurate?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Payne, your case has been assigned to Mr. Pete Freeman. He'll be the one to begin our interview process. Would you please answer any questions he might have?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Payne, how old are you?
48.
Okay, and how long have you been in prison on this charge?
3 years and 10 months.
It's 4 years. Okay. Mr. Kane, what was your motivation behind these crimes, all of these burglaries that happened? I mean, what was the deal? What was going on?
Well, sir, I was struggling with drug addiction. I mean, I wasn't thinking straight. I was using drugs. I was taking drugs most of the time. And so that caused me to have problems with my job, with my work, and just doing whatever I had to do to make money, to buy drugs, to survive.
What was your drug of choice?
Methamphetamine.
Okay. Do you consider yourself a drug addict?
Yes, sir.
What have you done while you've been incarcerated to address this drug problem?
Well, I've gone to AA and NA meetings as anytime they've been available. I've taken transition and RDAP. I've been a member of the Fox 6 program, a mentorship program for 3.5 years. Surround myself with people who are sober, people who are like-minded, people who will cause me to be accountable, that'll hold me to be accountable, that want to see me succeed, that want to see me do right.
All right, I see that you had that escape charge back in 2003, and you stayed out for 15 years. What did you do during that period of time?
I mean, I had to work to live, so I worked. I fell in with some local churches. I did AA meetings, and I worked with a church a lot, and I had a job. I mean, where I was at, you have to work if you're going to eat.
And how did you get caught? How did they catch you and get you back in prison?
Well, I wasn't caught, sir. I was picked up on a routine stop by the immigration. And so they brought me in, and I think it was about 5 or 6 weeks later, they told me that they were talking to me about me becoming a Mexican citizen. And I told them, I said, I don't want to become a Mexican citizen. I was ready at that point to go back. I was ready to come home. And they said that they didn't have any paperwork on me, and they didn't know if I was even an American. And so at that time, I contacted the U.S. Embassy and told them who I was and that I was ready to come home.
Interesting. Okay. I see in your supervision record, you've had, it looks like, been on supervision 3 times. I mean, 2 you finished satisfactorily, 1 you absconded and got revoked on. Do you have any detainers on you?
No, sir, none that I know of.
It says that you have 3 children. Do you have any contact with your children?
I've had contact with one of my daughters, but for the most part, I haven't had an opportunity to have a relationship with them.
You have a strong law enforcement opposition. And I don't think we have an answer from any of the victims. I don't see any. What is your transition plan? What are you going to do if we let you out today?
Well, I will be living with my mother and father, and my older brother has been working with a plumbing company for about 20 years. He's got me a job there, and he's gonna be working with me. You know, he's very serious. I know he'll hold me accountable. I also plan to get into AA and NA and find a sponsor. And I just really want to get around a lot of people that'll support me, build a good support group. I know there's people out there that love me, that want to see me succeed. And like I said, they're going to hold me accountable. They're going to make sure I do right. They're going to want to see me, speak with me, and, you know, tell me what I need to hear, not just what I want to hear.
So have you ever had long-term substance abuse treatment?
No, sir.
I see you active with the Veterans Program. You still active with that program?
Yes, sir. 3.5 years.
What do you do with the veterans?
Well, we do a lot of things. We take classes during the week in the dorms, and then we also volunteer for different programs. You know, they require us to live according to a higher standard. You know, we clean up more. We volunteer for different programs around the compound, like cleaning the kitchen and painting other dormitories. Like I said, we take classes there. You know, we have regular meetings, twice a week meetings, and just different things. Just, you know, hold us accountable, keep in touch with us. You know, ask us how we're doing, ask us how, you know, how everything's going.
How many write-ups have you had since you've been in prison?
The only write-up I've ever had, sir, was through the escape.
You have a low risk. Morton, what can you tell us about it, Mr. Payne?
As previously stated, he is a part of our veterans mentorship program, which is the workhorses around the prison at this current time. He is also assigned to the library on Unit 2. His review from his supervisor, positive remarks, positive work performance, good conduct, good work ethic. He has 405 CTRP credits, as previously stated, and he is has a low title risk assessment score. Since being here at Hunt since 2018, he has not had any disciplinary reports. And to confirm your question earlier, he does not have any pending detainers.
Yeah, you're an interesting case, Mr. Payne. You really are. You know, you get out, you stay on the lam for 15 years without getting in trouble. What did you go to Mexico? What you were going to do in Mexico?
It was something that I never really thought through. And then when I got over there, I honestly, sir, I feel like something changed inside of me. You know, it's like I made a decision that, you know, that I never wanted to break the law again, you know, that I was done, that I didn't want to use drugs, that I didn't want to be part of crime. And of course, I had this thing over my head that I knew I had to eventually come and take care of. To be honest, I kept making excuses and I was just afraid. But so I just worked and paid bills and, you know, just stayed out of trouble. Like I said, I was a part of some local churches and took part in AANA meetings and, you know, just, I guess I did what I should have been doing the whole time.
What it sounds like. What it sounds like. I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
There's a letter of commendation is in the file from October the 1st of 2021. I just want to appreciate you for that. How you participating with Hurricane Ida, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Out to 2021, the letter was, and it was signed by all the wardens. I don't see that very often. So you must have really stepped up during that time. Tell me what that was. How was that? What was going on there? How did you help?
Well, I believe it was.
You look confused.
Well, I believe we were just sandbagging. I believe that's what we were doing. We were a group of people that volunteered. They said they needed a lot of sandbags. So I was one of the people that volunteered and just went out every day and helped them bag sandbags. I mean, I didn't really think it was much, but I was glad to help.
Yes. Did you see the letter of commendation that they wrote for you? Did you see the letter?
Well, I did. They did give me a copy of the letter. I thought I had a copy of that in my parole packet.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
You did. Like I said, you look confused when I asked you about it, like what it's about.
I'm sorry.
They don't do those kind of letters for just anybody. I mean, it was some exemplary work there. I just want to commend you on that.
Thank you.
And that you got your high set as well in 2019. That's
Yes,
good.
ma'am. Yes,
That one
ma'am.
could. Did you know you were that smart that you could get it right away?
No, I didn't. Actually, I was really surprised because it was always something that was very difficult for me. In fact, I've tried to get my high set twice after I dropped out of school, and I guess I wasn't in the right place, wasn't in the right frame of mind. When I came here, I was older, I was more mature, I was more settled down, and it just seemed a lot easier. I don't know if it was easier to study or easier, I don't know. It just seemed a lot easier for me. So,
When was the last time you used meth? Do you remember?
2009, 2010.
And that could have a factor into it. It's been like 10 years since you used any substance. Your brain was doing a lot better.
Well, definitely sober, yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you for answering my questions that I had, Jim.
Mr. Payne, I had one question. Ms. Wise kind of touched on it. How long have you been completely sober? From all substances?
I haven't used any drugs, turn around 8 or 9 years.
And how have you been able to stay clean? You mentioned your AA meetings. How important are those to you?
Those are very important, sir. It's important to be around sober people that hold you account, that want to hold you accountable, and they encourage you to do things without the use of drugs and alcohol. And so that was something that really helped me, being around church people, being around Christian people. They didn't use, they didn't drink, they didn't talk about it. They did other things that were fun, that were exciting without using drugs and alcohol. And it was just easy to stay in the rhythm with them. Just,
Is that something you wish to continue? You intend on continuing if you release early?
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Now we'll hear from Mr. and Ms. McGee. Who would like to go first?
They talking about it now.
If you would, we need you to walk up to the podium. You both can walk up there if you wish, and you can talk. I wish one of them speak first and then the other. No, you can be up there. Mr. McGee, I'll pick you first. Okay. Yeah, since he beat you up there to the podium.
So this over here talk?
Yes, sir. If you could speak up a little bit, the microphone is really over on this side.
Maybe we can see the change in him since he's been gone, since what we see. Since he's been visiting in jail. It's totally different. Because back then, he was like, he had no care. He was, even though he was married, he was not dedicated enough. He'd focus on one thing, like he get a job, like he for the Superdome. He did the Marvel stuff in the Superdome for the cameras and all that. He'd stay out there 2 or 3 days at a time, working. He wouldn't even go home for his family check on family because he focused on that. It was like he had tunnel vision. So when he started messing up, you wouldn't see him. He was getting off to the side, getting altering from what he needed to be doing. So then when him and his wife started having problems, him and his wife stood up. This, they was getting for child support stuff. This put a lot of stress on him because he couldn't pay his bills and so on and so on. He was doing drugs, so it's finding the easy way out. Just took the easy way out instead of staying like he should have been doing. He decided to put easy dollar, thinking that would help. Money will help solve everything, but money doesn't solve everything. You can have all the money in the world, and when you die, you can't get the riches of the memories you have, we stay forever. So it needs to be able to expand it so that this in the memories made before this time comes, and this last state, go on with life, I think it would be great. I can see the change.
Thank you very much, Mr. McGee.
When, I am his mother, and, I have seen a big change in him. He was hard-headed as a child. All my children probably was kind of hard-headed, but since I've been visiting, he's been back. It seems to me like he's a grown man now. He really wants to reunite with his children, get to know him. He's a grandpa now. He's got a little granddaughter about 6 months old. And I think he just wants to start his life over after himself instead of being with someone who's not, which is what it was in Mexico. He wants that COVID and start over with his family. Just being himself. I don't think he realized how much he was capable of when he was younger. But I think he knows now.
Thank you very much, man. We appreciate your comment.
Can I add something?
Sure.
You know, please don't got a package of all this stuff that comes in jail. He had sent a package where he got, I don't know how many certificates, everything he's done. There's not having just been sitting there wasting and saying, I'm in jail, I'm not gonna do nothing. I'm hearing stuff that he had actually kind of put forward to show that he's striving to go forward. So they come to.
Thank you very much. Yes, please. Mr. Payne, is there anything you'd like to say before the board votes?
Well, I would just like to say to, all of you, to everybody, those in opposition, and to my family, that I'm very sorry for all the wrong that I did. I know that I shouldn't have done the things I did, and I'm really sorry, but I would like to reassure you all that I'm not that same person anymore. And if given the opportunity, I will do better. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Board ready to vote? Mr. Freeman?
Yeah. Well, I was saying, you thrown me for a loop. You know, I'm a ex-director of probation and parole. When I looked at your record, I was just about to shut the case and say, man, there's just no way. You know, which is encouraging, and it shouldn't be, is that you stayed out for 15 years without getting rearrested. And you attended AA and stuff while you were out. You admit you're a drug addict. You have good family support. And I'll show my paper. I wrote down deny. That's what I wrote down when I reviewed your case. But what I'm gonna suggest now is that we grant conditional on you going to the Steve Hall program for long-term substance abuse, which should take about 9 months. And that once you complete that program, that you be released.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Wise, thank you, Mr. Freeman.
Likewise, sir, when I read your report last night too, I was really concerned. And I said, he's married and got 3 children and, you've done all this. But I concur with my colleague, my vote is to grant because of, for me, it was your parents' support here today that spoke volumes, the warden's comments and your outstanding transition plan and the level of accommodation. Like you said, the things you've done inside the institution, you obtain your eyesight. And I concur, and after you are released, after you complete the Steve Hall, you follow those conditions that they set forth. Follow their release plan. And I'd like to see you do some community service, do something in the community to give back, because you have a story to tell. You've been on a journey a long time, at least 4 hours a month of community service. That is my vote.
Thank you.
Mr. Payne, you have 2 votes to grant your parole. We all come from different backgrounds on this board. I was in another life a lawyer and a judge, a criminal judge. In some of the most difficult cases that I ever had come before me were people who had either escaped or refused to come to court and were gone for a long period of time and had done well. Because the thing I was always troubled with is, what message am I sending to the community if I say it's okay for someone to escape or not to come to court when they're supposed to come to court, even though they've done so well? The difference between me today on this board and me as a judge is that you've been in jail for almost 4 years. So you have suffered from the escape that you did. You've been penalized for that. And you have done a lot of very positive things. I'm very impressed by the fact that you didn't get in any trouble and you stayed sober while you've been out. And that is a critical issue to me. My vote likewise would be the same as Mr. Freeman. That is to grant conditionally upon your completion of the Steve Hall program. Warden, can we get him in that program? Can we do everything available for us to get him in that program as quickly as possible?
Yes, sir. Depending on best space, we'll get in there.
Okay. So your parole has been granted today. You have some excellent support here from your parents who are present with us here in the meeting room. So you get into that program, you complete that program, and you understand and follow up on the tools that you already have to remain sober. So if you complete that program successfully within 9 months, you'll be released. So good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
Well,
I got to tell you, I love this story. I think that this is just absolutely, think about this. He had 15-year, or is it 17-year sentence for right, like theft. And that's what we see in Louisiana, right? You get those type of sentences. You harm a child, you get a suspension of sentence, maybe a few years. You can, all the terrible things you could do, but theft, they throw the book at you for that, right? I don't blame him for running. Now, I thought it was great how the parole board handled it, and I actually think it was great of the outcome. I mean, think about this. He didn't come back to Louisiana until 2018, and this hearing took place in 2021. So they talk about good time and they talk about, but he always could have gotten out on parole, just after a few years. And he did in this case, which is incredible because they typically don't do that when you escape. But the idea that he stayed out of trouble for 15 years. Now, there is one thing, though, that he wasn't completely honest about, unless he, depends who you want to believe. But he said that he just kind of like turns himself in, and let's see what they what the sheriff claims happened, then you can make your own judgment on that as to what really occurred.
Payne was a trustee at the East Feliciana Jail in 2003, serving time for a burglary when he escaped. For 15 years, he managed to stay on the run in Mexico. But in August, officials say Payne went through a checkpoint in Mexico where he was arrested, but gave officials a bogus name.
My understanding from the U.S. Marshals was that he was not cooperative about his identity on August the 29th. And after staying in a Mexican prison for about 2 weeks, he contacted the U.S. consulate and gave up his identification.
He was then sent to Montgomery, Texas, where he was held as a fugitive for East Feliciana Parish. And today, thanks to the Department of Corrections, U.S. Marshals, and East Feliciana deputies, Payne came full circle. What were you doing for 15 years?
A whole lot of nothing.
So there you have it. The sheriff says that he tried to sneak across the border. A couple of weeks in a Mexico prison maybe can make anyone want to say, you know what, I'm just get me back into Louisiana, right? So I kind of can believe that story versus him simply just turning himself in. But he's funny. He's likable, in my opinion. What were you doing in Mexico for 15 years? A whole lot of nothing. I mean, how is he not a meme by now? So maybe he kind of is like like a Robin Hood in a way. I don't know. To me, call me crazy, but I like a story like this. And he just seems to be, he's an anomaly, I think. And it's kind of like what the parole board said. He's you can kind of make a movie on this. I don't know. I'm happy to tell you that he has not gotten re-locked up, and he's hopefully staying sober and staying out of trouble. But I would love to have a conversation with this man. But let's continue.
Payne's mother, Dorothy McGee.
I hated that he did that. And he probably hated every second of once he got on the run. But I mean, you can't turn back once you go, I guess he just couldn't come back.
She says she has not seen or heard from her son in 15 years and got to hug on him for the first time today.
I don't know. It was crazy. I've always believed that he was alive, and I always knew I'd see him again. And so many people told me I wouldn't, but I never wavered in faith. I knew I would.
So now he has to.
Well, I mean, and there you have it. I just wanted to, how can you not love this family reunion? Imagine being his mother and not talking to your son for 15 years, not knowing where he is. And if it's true that he never contacted her, which is believable, because you might think that he doesn't want to involve her. He doesn't want to get caught or get in trouble. I mean, the only way to successfully stay out of prison is to really just cut all ties and communication. And it couldn't have been easy. You could see he certainly had a full head of hair before he left, and quite different after coming back. But I think this is an amazing story, and I like the outcome. I'm really grateful the board didn't deny him, that he didn't have to serve out his full sentence. Thank you, Richard, for putting together all this information. I'll drop the links in the description, and as always, I'll let you go.